Paul Daner, Mark Shalafoo, from listener questions to some running gags. Insider stories, ambush life, that dad life, and respect for flags. Kick off the weekend, alright? It's the Growler Friday Show. It's Who Dey Light.
All right, welcome into another episode of the Growler Podcast. This is Who Dey Light. I am your host, Mark Shalafoo. As always, with me, Paul Daner Jr. Paul, what flag are we flying today?
Still have the Olympics flag up, but there's some debate about when Valentine's Day. Normally, Valentine's Day flag has a very unnecessarily long run at our house.
So depressing in February.
This tends to be a little bit of a dead zone, and once February hits, we just go to the Valentine's Day. But with the Olympics so hot, it stayed up, and so I guess I'm just going to give it a one-day run.
So the Olympic flag, is that just the rings?
Team USA with the rings.
Oh, Team USA. I was going to say, maybe it's just the American flag, and that's your.
I'm not out
flag.
here supporting the German curlers or anything like that. No, we're rooting for America.
You very famously have an anti-American flag stance on this show, so I thought that maybe this is your one time that you would fly just the straight red, white, and blue, but at least now you have a little bit of it represented, so I appreciate that.
I do sometimes fly the red, white, and blue flag. I do. I'm not anti-American stance. I just like the seasonal flags as well, and so the red, white, and blue doesn't get as much run. I think it's important to clarify that I'm pro-America. This is a pro-America podcast here, okay?
All of you flag haters, it's put to bed now. All of this intense flag feedback you've received. We've got a big show to get to today.
Yeah.
We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and we might save all of it and just do 60 straight minutes of NFL Super Bowl halftime show talk, because that's what's really driving all of the sports talk world right now. It's just a lot of opinions. There's not enough info about that, not enough opinions about that, so I think we need to break it down for everybody.
Yeah. It's funny, we will have these emails about viewership and reads and how many people click on whatever, and it's like biggest week ever in the history of the Athletic, right? And it was, which is great. Like, that's awesome that it was. But it's like, well, you had a Super Bowl, you had the Bad Bunny halftime show live blog, which did like a gazillion views, and the Olympics were going on. You have all of this stuff happening. Like, it's not like we can just go replicate that all the time. I can't just go write a Bad Bunny blog in April, but it was, man, people couldn't get enough.
Yeah, you just need to Mad Libs it in April. Just throw in a Lindsey Vonn, Bad Bunny, and just kind of mangle it all together, see what you get from that. At least this time of year is fun to listen to. Power Stacks is firing up again now, where there's going to start to be some news soon that spring training is getting right around the corner here, and pitchers and catchers reported. And so if you're not subscribed to them, quick shout out to our Power Stacks friends, and go subscribe to that podcast. Give them a good review. All the stuff you do for podcasts that are in their second season.
New episode is up today. Charlie is officially doing episodes from the fields now.
Oh, wow.
You can see he's got the fence behind him. I was like, he needs to start going to like standing, literally recording right next to the batting cages, or like by the backfields while a game's going on, or in the middle of a game of catch. I feel like that's the kind of access that you kind of have when you're out there this time of year. So I that's what I want to see next. I want Charlie more in the middle of it, where maybe his life's a little in danger while he's recording.
Honestly, that's the best thing for the show. If he gets hit with an errant ball or something like that, and it's just an awkward moment, his glasses get knocked off or something like that, or his notebook flies in the air to something crazy, nothing like too dangerous for him that leaves him in any sort of like physical injuries, but just something fun for the YouTube viewers, something to help kick that show into the next gear. The
spring training version of seeing a ghost is what we're
exactly. That's all we need. You don't need to haunt poor Charlie. We just need him to get hit with something on screen.
That's it. What else? We talked about this. Mo and I did earlier this week about Cincy shirts, and I know Mark, you work closely with Cincy shirts too,
of course,
obviously, and they are just such an awesome company, and we were kind of like, we kind of wanted to do something to help them out. They've kind of reached out and said, we could use something. They got their warehouse sale going on right now.
They do.
We're like, let's help them out. And so we came out with this idea that if you are listening to this show, you can go to cincyshirts.com, or heck, if you go in person to the warehouse sale and you buy something, just send us a screenshot, a picture of your proof of purchase of some sort that you bought something from Cincy Shirts this weekend. And let's say the first 10 that we get, we will send you a Growl Pal, Growl Gal, Growler shirt on us to you. You just get the Growler podcast at gmail.com. Shoot it to us there. If you buy something from Cincy Shirts, we'll throw in a Growl Pal or a Growl Gal shirt.
Now, should we do first 10, or should we just like raffle off? Like, say throughout the weekend, you can send them in, and then we'll just raffle off whoever.
Yeah, we'll pick
emailed
10.
And pick 10 winners.
We'll pick 10. That's a good idea. We don't need urgency. We just want to see them by the end of the weekend.
Your job midday just to go run out and buy the shirt. You can get it later in the weekend.
If you did do that, though, you would definitely get a shirt.
That's the move right there. They do have a ton of cool new shirts. Their FC Cincinnati collection, I saw that dropped for the 26th season. That's pretty cool. They've got some nice baseball stuff up there, some football stuff. And of course, they do our shirts, which is probably my favorites that they do.
Yes.
The Growl Gal, the Growl Pal, and the Growler podcast shirts, all great ones to add to your collection. It's worthwhile. Yeah.
Absolutely worthwhile. They've been great supporters of us and so many other local institutions that
so many charities, nonprofits they've worked with over the years.
They do so much to help, and so they deserve it. And so if you have a chance, Growl Pal shirt could be headed your way. All right, let's
get into some stuff. You ready?
Let's go.
All right, so here I've got two things that are bugging me that I need your expert opinion on, right? Because I'm just a dumb fan. I'm trying to consume whatever content I can. And today this week, I got sucked into the power rankings because as soon as the Super Bowl is over, it's like, hey, we're all on the same page. It's all turning to next year. Now there's no winners. We've all got the same record. Hope is starting to come back into the picture. So I wanted to see how the rest of, the outsiders are assessing the Bengals at this point. And I clicked on a power ranking story on The Athletic, which is still better than the clickbaity things you'll see on many sites. So I thought this is going to be a little bit of research, a little bit of hard opinions here. And I expected to see the Bengals maybe around 15, a few slights that maybe I took offense to. 23 is where they had them. 23. That feels too low.
It feels too low. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. But the end of the day, they're probably just kind of going off where they finished last year. They were not good. They were 6-11. You are what your record says you are. I get it. Everybody, it's like, hey, Joe Burrow, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, you got him. You should not be 23rd. And I think every Bengals fans are nodding along yes, in agreement with that. Can I quiz you?
Sure.
Do you know what the Bengals record is with Joe Burrow as the starter in games that he starts over the last 3 seasons? And maybe if you're listening along, you can try to answer this as well. But do you know?
Games that he starts. That's tough because 2 of those seasons he missed big chunks.
Don't do the math. Just give a general what do you?
15-9.
15-9 is incorrect. They are 19-16. They're only over the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years, when he starts, they're only 3 games over 500. Now, is that better than 23rd? Yes. But his injury history is also an inherent risk when you power rank somebody for the next year. I mean, the bottom line is what everybody recognizes, that the whole team has to be better, but it's not, it's not like just because Burrow has been out there that they've just have this great record without him. Now, they're terrible without him, obviously.
Yes, they are terrible.
1-8 last year is on everybody's mind. I'm just saying when you're talking about how does that happen, I think, you can be like, even when he's been out there, they've been a little bit over 500, a 543 winning percentage. I mean, Josh Allen's at over and Jared Goff are over 7. I'm not going to sit out here and do QB wins, but it's not like they've just been absolutely dominant with him, which is not breaking news here.
The Steelers and Ravens don't have coaches, and they're both higher. Like, you don't, like, they didn't have coaches for so long. I don't understand you breaking in a new guy, but neither of those teams were great. I don't know what Pittsburgh's doing at quarterback. How are they both ahead of them?
I would not have Pittsburgh above the Bengals. I can see the Ravens, but again,
still a new coach.
They had their problems. Don't know. I don't. Hey,
Ravens look like trash a lot.
You are who you are till you change the narrative. All right. And right now they need to go prove that they're not crappy, which for the last 3 years, they haven't been anything but a 500 team essentially at best. And their defense still needs a big overhaul. But I don't think they should be that far back. I would agree with you. I think that's a low number. I also think I get it because they're 6-11.
I just watched Joe Flacco almost beat the Patriots with this defense. I mean, that's not – and I saw the Patriots go to the Super Bowl. So in my mind, I'm like, this team is top 15 easy. You throw Joe Burrow in the mix. Year 2 of Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. Who couldn't be excited about that? The leap those guys will make with all that experience. Well, the other thing that I've been seeing a lot of, just that's more on the negative side, I liked hearing you and Mo talk about like the bold moves they could make and stuff like that, because that's where I want to put my mind right now. It's just like, in what could go right? And there's just so many of those negative people that are like, here's what's going to go wrong. You know how this is going to go. Every offseason is like this. It's Marco Wilson Tuesday all over again. And I hear a lot of that. I don't think that's really on the radar for this season, right? Because like last year, they had to get both of those receiver contracts done. They got the Trey Hendrickson extension for the year. Like, you know, they gave him that extra money. So I don't really see that as being a concern of like, they're not going to do anything in free agency because they're still going to have a bunch of money to spend, right? Like,
yeah, I will say free agency and how exactly it goes is one of the hardest to predict. It's just it's players following the money. Even if your objective was to do something, like you have to shift midstream. Next thing you know, Jermaine Pratt's back. Like it just things. And the same last year when nothing really happened, but they brought back BJ Hill and Joseph Osai. Like that wasn't even really in the ideas or the conversation. So things like that happen because the market changes, guys get snatched up. Like you don't know what's going on. I'll say this. Their objective, as I understand it, is to be aggressive in free agency. And so I fully believe that this will not be like last year in that regard, specifically on defense. Seems to be the plan. And so things change, surprises happen. They don't have a lot of free agents that you're like, well, you know, they're going to bring some guys back. I mean, they have open spaces they need to fill, and they don't really have anybody here that could fill them because they're moving on. So when you're looking at worries about them not doing anything, I don't think this is going to be that. Now, what that exactly looks like, I don't know, and it could be surprising, and I'm sure we'll come out of it with a thing or two that you're like, man, I can't believe they didn't do this. But I do think aggression is going to be a part of this free agency. I don't think this is going to be a sit back and be distracted situation like we've kind of seen last year, and that when things haven't gone their way in previous years.
I mean, this is such an important free agency period, an entire offseason, honestly. So I do like hearing that answer. I don't like that there's not any like surprise quiz questions here that are sort of a bummer, like with my first one and the 19 and 16.
I mean, I can come up with more. I can figure something else out.
I'm good. I'm good with the positivity in my head that they're going to be aggressive. They're going to replace that Trey Hendrickson with something that's better.
I would say this. I think it's much more likely. I think it's much more likely that this feels like when they came out in the first 10 minutes and signed Kappa and Karras than when we sat here for 2 days and they hadn't done anything and we've filled 2 hours of dead air on live shows. Like, I think that the pendulum is much closer to that than it is to what happened last year. But again, it's unpredictable, but I think that's where it's leaning.
You're in mock draft season now. I like that too. I like getting my head around that. I know it was 0.5 that you did this week. Is that right?
I did mock draft 0.5, which is my way of, it's my mini protest of having to do a mock draft before free agency, which I am inherently against. It's my way of saying doesn't count for real. You can't use this against me. This is strictly just an exercise that we do before free agency, and then that will change everything, because it always does, specifically when you get outside of like the top 15. I think you're in the top 15, like, free agency is not going to change that. You're still going to want it. You're going to hunt stars. There's not anybody that they're going to sign in free agency, almost certainly, that's going to change your opinion of 10 overall. And even, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something that could make you break a tie, but these are, who the guys are. Outside of that, though, things change dramatically in terms of what the path they would take would be, depending on what free agency brings. And you hope for their sake that they're not having to plug a bunch of starters, but there still can be needs that are much stronger that go up the priority board, and you end up pinpointing those guys in rounds 2 or 3 or 4. So that's why 0.5. And don't worry, 0.75 will be coming your way before free agency as well. I'm here to be a good guy and do the mock drafts, because people want the mock drafts. So I do the mock drafts. And then I got to get, people in the comments, this is terrible. Right. And I'm like,
fire Paul.
Okay. I want to know, find me a single mock draft that has a comment section that doesn't have somebody talking about how stupid the person who did it is.
Find a single comment section, period. Not even a mock draft. Like, really, except for our comment section on the Growler podcast YouTube. Those people are all geniuses. Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
Every other comment section is a nightmare. Who did you take with our 0.5 number 10 pick?
Ruben Bain. So I did it. The template of it was based off of Dane Brugler put out his top 100. So I used sort of the universe of players that would be in each Bengals pick based on his rankings of top 100. So I used the 80% rule. With anybody that was within 80% of that pick, I crossed off. So the top 7 were gone. That left anything from 8 onward, and Bain was ranked, I believe, 9th on his top 100 rankings. So that was a nice gift to see there. I don't know if that will happen, but Daniel Jeremiah's had him a little bit further down than the top. Dane has, so it suggests hope. But yeah, I had Bain as the guy there, and if he's there, it's not too much of a decision until you get into, like, okay, unless there's a couple other guys that slip. And I think when you look at that pick right now, you can pinpoint the conversation is going to be around Bain if he makes it. Obviously, Caleb Downs is going to be the guy whose name we say the most between now and the draft. He's going to be a polarizing prospect because he's so good, but he's a premium position, or a non-premium position, excuse me. But then it's like, okay, but is he a premium position now because the league changing and everybody now wants the Kyle Hamilton, the Nicky Manwaris, the Derwin Jameses of the world? Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State, is going to be interesting. Again, non-premium position linebacker, but
another rookie linebacker. Let's go.
I know exactly. Do you want to go there? I think there'll be a conversation about the couple of corners that are in the top. There'll be a conversation about the tackles. But I think those are kind of the names that you're seeing in their vicinity for the most part.
And Peter Wood seems to just continue to slide in all of these mock drafts, which I know you brought him up like months ago as a possibility before he started tanking his college season. But is that surprising to you at all?
Yes. I think there's a lot to learn about what is happening there. And, Daniel and Dane are really plugged in specifically. And Todd McShay, who I really like. And you should be, if you're a big draft person, you should be on his newsletter and podcast as well. Also down on, they're very well connected, and you're seeing the Peter Wood slide, and that is surprising, certainly. I mean, in here, Dane had him at 33. He just narrowly missed where I could get him in round 2.
Gosh, that would be wild.
Yeah, I mean, according to my 80% rule.
Yeah.
But, so I was like, well, I didn't see that coming, but there's something going on there. And what that is exactly, we'll spend the next couple of months getting to the bottom of. But there's obviously something going on there, because there's just, everybody needs defensive tackles. Everybody wants defensive tackles. It's a super premium position now, and there's a scarcity of it. So why the guy who some people have as the number one defensive tackle in this draft is sliding everywhere, not even mentioned near the top 10 of these plugged in people, suggests there's more going on. I just, we're going to learn about that over the next couple of months.
I was very worried about the Peter Woods thing when you brought it up originally, just because of my bias against Clemson defensive linemen. And that's gotten better. So I was willing to relent on that. But now seeing the slide and just the fact that it is a position of need for this team, that is the only thing that really terrifies me at this point, is like a huge reach on Peter Woods. So that's the only thing right now I'm rooting against. I've even talked myself into some of those corners who are like super talented guys, even if that's not the biggest need for this team. We did get a couple of quick RPBs if you want to jump into those, because they're related to this conversation. Are you willing to handle a couple?
Yeah.
All right. So let's say all three of these guys are available. Which ones, how would you RPB these three if they were all available to you at pick number 10? Reese, Baines, or Downs? How are you going to RPB those three?
Well, I mean, I think I would have Reese number one. This is me, or is this what I think they would do?
You.
Okay.
What would you do if you're calling the shots?
Reese would be number one. I just think he's the best overall prospect. I know there's a little bit of a projection because he hasn't like gone up there and played edge all the time. It's like, what is that? But I mean, you're talking about him potentially being the number 2 overall pick of this draft. And he's just, I mean, people using the name Micah Parsons when talking about him.
No pressure.
Yeah. I mean, not that he will be that, but like you can see that. And I mean, his upside is so high in a draft that doesn't have a ton of guys that you can say that about. I don't think there's a world where he's around at 10. So I think it's moot. I just can't imagine outside of him doing something he shouldn't at the combine, like going full Reuben Foster and like attacking someone trying to do his medical. And, nobody wants to see that. So I would say that. And then I would put Downs over Bain for me.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think they would, but I would. I just think that, like I talked about with it being sort of a new premium position, there's a lot you can do with them. Their need to just be so much better at safety, even if they're not playing him in that like slot star hybrid spot, whatever you're doing. He's just such a smart player. He's a culture setter. He's a football player. They need football players who are smart out there and know what they're doing. And so I don't care where you think he's playing. That's what I want to see. I just think he's the guy I would want to get in and just become an immediate leader on that defense. And then I got nothing bad to say about Reuben Bain. I like Downs as a fit a little better.
You're not worried about his short arms that everybody seems to be freaking out about? Like he is a game wrecker.
Yes. I mean, and I'm sure the Bengals are like, let's talk more about short arms if it gets him to 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great. I mean, he's kind of a dream pick if he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, you need game wreckers and good, like you said, just good football players. And what better? Either one of those guys is going to make a difference for that defense. You throw Caleb Downs out there, or at least let him study for a year under Geno Stone. Think about how lethal he would be after that. That veteran tutelage.
It's a Friday, okay? Don't do that to people.
I did see some people calling Caleb Downs the best player in the draft, so I'm all on board with taking him there too. I don't care about that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to bring up that tweet from Dane. I have it here. It was Albert Breer talking about, says, I feel comfortable saying Caleb Downs is the best football player in the 2026 draft class. He won't be the first pick. You have to consider upside, positional value, all that. And there are guys with more of all that stuff, but no one in the class is a better football player. Now, Albert Breer is a noted Ohio State homer. I don't think that's the case here. I just want to say that as a footnote. But Dane says, fun question I've been asking to scouts. Caleb Downs is the best safety prospect you've personally scouted since. He said a few have answered ever. And, you get in the conversation of Derwin James. You get in the conversation of, I guess the last top 10 safety, you're in the Jamal Adams went in the top 10. You're talking about Kyle Hamilton, all these things, and you're putting Caleb Downs in that class. I don't care, man. In a year that's lacking blue chip prospects, give me a dude like that who's just a great football player. You know what their defense didn't seem to have a lot of last couple of years? Great football players. Give me those.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at least you raised my spirits on a few things. I always like the draft talk, which we'll get deeper into, I know. Are you the only one at The Athletic that really protests like that hates the mock draft season?
Nobody else has gone. Well, this is kind of a double protest. So I'm protesting. I don't know why the .0 system became what everybody decided that we have to do with mock drafts. Like somebody did that once, and now that's just the way that everybody does it, is goes 1.0. Like, why wouldn't it be 1 or 2? Why does it have to be 0.0? No one ever uses that point productively. And so I feel like this is a great chance for me to be that guy and me to be a little bit of a pioneer here and
really
understanding that to me, 1.0 or 1 is the first one that really matters. And that is the one after free agency, is when we officially can say, now I think we can be a little more accurate. I care about accuracy. Maybe it's just me. But we need to use this. We need to use the decimal system, man. If you're going to use it, use it.
Use it properly.
Don't make it everything 0.0. Like even an Excel spreadsheet won't do you like that. Like they just automatically switch it to the full number. I'm not going to have that. That's my double protest. Okay,
I'm sure that
doing them, and that people are thinking that this is the official number 1 that starts to count. No, it doesn't.
I'm sure all of your coworkers at The Athletic appreciate your double protest. Just probably calling you Protest Paul behind your back at this point.
Yep, pretty sure nobody even notices.
Before we jump into our Growl Pal questions, how about a quick shout out to our guy Eric Stanio, who's giving away his season tickets, I think, in a few days here, right?
Yeah, he is. I have the flyer
17th.
here. So this is the deal. On February 17th, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., you can call this number, which is 513-202-3589. That's 513-202-3589. And you can get into the mix to win 4 Bengals season tickets. I mean,
that's
and
huge.
not joke tickets either, like good tickets. He's just the best, man. He's giving back, man, to Bengals fans, to Growl Pals, to the community here. So February 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You don't have to buy anything or anything like that. 513-202-3589. Get in for Bengals season tickets. 4 Bengals season tickets that he's giving away. You just got to call that number. You see the QR code here on the flyer, but you can call that number in that point and get in the mix, and maybe you'll be the winner of season tickets. Shout out to Stanio for doing this.
Yeah, he's always there for the Growl Pals if they need to buy or sell a house, or if you know somebody that is. He's the guy that rocks that in Cincinnati, but now he's just giving back to people across the board. You could live in a different city and drive in for these games, 8 times a year, or giving us some other Growl Pals. I do hope that whoever wins them does take some other Growl Pals to the games. Let's spread the wealth here a little bit. If you have a couple buddies that can't go with you, maybe you put it out there and get a few Growl Pals into that game with you.
Yeah, just let us know, and we'll put a call out. And
we'll facilitate.
We'll facilitate some good, solid Growl Pals joining together. I like that.
All right, are you ready to jump into the Growl Pal questions?
Let's go. What do we got?
All right, the first, he says, first of all, so heartened to hear the support for Jay. Can't wait until he's ready to come back. Full agree on that. And he says, with the news of what Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan did for Jay, jolted me back from the ultra disposable feelings people have for the human beings in this business. Being a good person makes a massive difference in this world. Do I want my team to win a championship? Yes. But ultimately, I want to cheer for good people. And then he goes on to say, you previously shed great insight on the coaching structure. He's wondering what you can tell us about the choice of free agents and draft picks, how the power structure works within the team. He says, let's say there's a standoff. Zach Taylor and Al Golden want to take John Franklin Myers in free agency, but Duke thinks there's too many needs to splash on one guy. Does it just end there? Is Duke the winner? Does Katie have a say in this? Does Mike Brown get involved? Same question with the draft. If the coaches are on one guy, Duke is on another guy, who ends up winning that debate?
The draft one is a little murkier because there's a little bit more of a months-long debate involved in that, where everyone, they form a final opinion. Some years, like Al Golden's opinion on the need for linebackers ends up being very influential in the room. Some years, the scouts' vindication on a certain player or group of players ends up being very strong in the room. Some years, Zach Taylor's saying they need somebody who is, as Charlie calls it, the idea of Jermaine Burton, is very strong in the room. And I'm not, and eventually, so maybe that's a reason that a certain player ends up being what is. Inevitably, I mean, yeah, Duke is kind of the one that gets there, and Mike will weigh in, and Mike has very much many opinions on this, and sometimes he'll step in and be a part of this. But I think for the most part, these picks, inevitably that kind of falls on Duke to facilitate as the last guy, but it is more of a group thing there. Free agency is a little bit more, because it kind of has to be the way that it's set up, a little bit more led by Duke and that team. That's just kind of what the way that ends up going. They have the opinions. They know how coaches feel about it. But yeah, the family's involved in those conversations about who those people could be. And as free agents, it's sort of turned over to them. And then when all the money starts flying and the deals start getting made, for the most part, that's on Duke and the front office to knock that out. That does more largely fall on them in terms of that. But I think with draft, I think you get a little bit more of a consensus, even though obviously Duke is the final caller there. I think free agency is a little bit more front office led.
I mean, with them having kind of a small group of people to do all that free agency, do the coaches, you think, have more involvement in that? Like, they do have more of a say in Cincinnati than they would in other cities, right? That have those huge staffs.
Yeah, the coaches have way more say here than in a lot of other places, specifically when it comes to the draft. But in free agency too. I mean, they're involved in, they want those guys. They want them to feel like they're getting the types of players that they like, what they see, watch them on tape, whatever. And it's their job to put those two together and get as close as they can to what they know they need, and use their expertise as scouts. But like, yeah, the coach's opinion on these players in free agency matters, and they want to hear that. And so they rank their guys at their positions, and their opinion is a part of the conversation when they're figuring out how to go forward. But once the actual execution starts, it's a front office game.
What I like about this time of year too is, like, you just get some random questions, because we're in that weird period, the 0.5 mock drafts, free agency hasn't started, a lot of things up in the air. There's not a lot of definitive answers. So you do get some very specific questions that we don't normally talk about much during the season. This was from Ray. He said, I wanted to tell you guys that you were right. While watching the Super Bowl, I did think to myself, boy, I wish my team had that. I did not expect to be saying that about Seattle's punt team. They were incredible! ! Trust me, as somebody who bet that a punt would result in a touchback, BetMGM wouldn't want you to shame my choices. He says, I was very aware that Seattle pinned New England inside their own 10 on 3 occasions. There was one other time in the first half where they were kicking from too far back to get it inside the 20, but he dropped it perfectly on the sideline, so New England couldn't attempt a return. I'm curious how likely Paul thinks it is that Ryan Rico could take a leap in his accuracy, since we know he already has that power. Are there any other punter success stories like that you've seen where a guy has made that leap in a certain area?
Well, I saw this question, and I was very excited to dig into the punting numbers. I have enough of like knowing what was said about conversations as the year went on and after the season about Rico, that I knew what I was looking for, and I found it. And so I think this can help quantify, I think, how they feel about this. Now, year to year, the idea of touch punting does tend to kind of go up and down. I mean, I think it's circumstantial with your punt team. Like you mentioned the punt team, Ray. I mean, the gunners are a big part of this. If you have gunners that never can get down there to down the punt or catch it or bungle it or don't see how, whatever. We've seen years where that's been the case. It hurts the punter. And is that the punter's fault? Not always. Now, Rico does himself no favors banging, what should be pooch punts like through the goalposts almost half the time. But so this is interesting though. So I just looked at punts from the Bengals 40 on in. So touch punts, basically within 60 yards of the goal line. The last 2 years, he has the worst touchback rate, right, of all qualifying punters.
Bummer.
So not great on that one. He's the first half of last year, the first half of the 2025 season, he was amongst the bottom of the league in pinning it inside the 10. He had 14 attempts, 6 ended up going for touchbacks. That was tied for the worst. Okay, so again, not great, Bob. But the second half of last season, and this was a big theme all year, was Darren saying we're working with him on it. We're working on that. Like, because he has the power, we if we can just work on this touch and get better at it, we feel like he could be really a complete punter. Last 8 weeks, he was 4th in the NFL in those situations.
Let's go.
In inside 10 rate. He went from the first 9 weeks, 14%, to the last 8 weeks, 43% of landing those situational punts inside the 10. He only had 3 touchbacks out of 14 attempts. He cut those down in half. So you did see progress over the course of the season in that area with Ryan Rico. And of course, when he's kicking from the shadow of his own goalpost, we know what he is. He can just crush it. And so that's not part of the issue, but that did show improvement. There are plenty of punters that go from the top of the league to the bottom or bottom to the top. Like that type of movement does happen. It's kind of all over the place. I don't know how predictive it is year to year. A lot of it depends on outside influences, but I think the progress that you saw over the course of last year does give you real hope that Rico's starting to figure that part of his game out.
I love that we're talking about punter hope in the offseason. That's what I really enjoyed about this question.
It's February 13th. All right. Like,
yeah,
this is where we're at. We can talk all the I could do an episode on punter hope. Let's
listen.
Go.
As a fan, if Rico can change, that means Demetrius Knight Jr. can change and Shamar Stewart can change. There's hope for everybody if there's hope for Rico. That's the way I see it. We did get some good questions from Twitter, a good handful of those. Actually, a great response this week. We'll have to save some of those for next week because I loved a lot of those questions we got. But this is a fun, quick one. Who are 3 current Bengals Paul wouldn't mind being stuck on an island with? And then you could also do 3 former. But let's start with 3 current players that you wouldn't mind being stuck on that island with.
Okay. So I have one that has to be there. And that is the most obvious because I have one objective while I'm stuck on this island. What is the one thing you're thinking about besides eating, I guess, when you're stuck on an island?
You're wanting to get off that island.
How can I get off this island? Okay.
Yeah.
And there is one person that a search party would be sent for, or that would have the money to find some kind of a way to get us out of there.
Geno Stone?
Geno Stone, that's right. The search party's coming out for Joe Burrow is all I know. And so I need him there with me because he is my best hope of also getting off this island. Now, is there a chance they look down and see me and Joe Burrow and they're like, let's just get Joe out of there and leave this guy? Right?
Yes. One harness.
But I'm willing to take a chance that I could grab onto his foot on the way of us getting lifted up onto the helicopter or whatever to get us out of there. So I would start there because my number one objective is getting off the island.
Yeah, they're not sending the search party for Joe Flacco. They're gonna be like, he's old enough, he's lived a great life. Well, we don't need to go rescue that guy, but they'll come save Joe Burrow.
But that's why Flacco's my next one. A guy who's just happy to have a little bit of break from his family. Right? He's fine eating lunch by himself or having a coffee by himself. I also would be like, I think Joe and I could just sit there and just chat a little bit about how we're enjoying the peace and quiet out here. And I feel like that could work out for us. So I would want Flacco. He's probably the best conversationalist of all of the Bengals players, and maybe in all of the NFL right now. When you look at some of his press conferences, how people have resonated with them.
Could you imagine if it was the 2 of you on an island and you still ate separately? Just like, sorry, Joe, I'm going to take my
over here.
I'm going to take my coconut to the other side of the island. You're just eating alone again. Sad Joe Flacco.
I respect that. You got to feel like you're going to want a break from the other person. The last thing you want is somebody that just wants to sit there and stare at you and talk to you the whole time. No, we need to be able to sit here in silence We're
He
stuck.
respects boundaries, and that's important
Yes.
when you're on an island like that. So Joe Flacco will respect boundaries.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think you just want somebody who's solid. I don't know who my third person. Those were the first two certainly that came to mind. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I would go with the
What
rest.
about
I guess I just
former
only have two.
players? Anybody that really stands out to you? You want to go be on an island with Carson Palmer or Vontez Burfict, maybe?
Well, well, only one survive. I can't imagine I live with me and Tez and Pack. Right?
Yeah,
That
what a
sounds like a
crew.
worst case scenario. They eat me quickly.
Yeah, maybe you guys can do a few podcasts first, and then you get eaten pretty quick.
Right? I feel like maybe the award for most entertaining Bengal of all time might be Boomer Esiason. And I feel like Boomer and I might enjoy his company over the course of time. I mean, if you can just fill hours and hours of New York talk show,
Yeah.
I probably am interested, and he'd have a lot of good stories from back in the day that I could listen to. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just mostly focused on getting out of there. People would definitely send a search party out for Boomer or Anthony. Like that's all I care about. Get me out of there.
Yeah, or maybe you take Ocho Cinco, because if there's a McDonald's on that island, he will find it, and that would help sustain you guys for a while too. Not a bad option.
Yeah.
We did have one last question. This is more free agency. He says that we keep discussing adding a veteran linebacker or maybe even drafting Styles. You did bring up his name early in the show. He says, do you think this is realistic? From Duke to Al, they seem to be dead set on making Carter and Knight work. And maybe they think it's realistic that they improve massively in year 2. So I guess, how would you sort of rank the positions on where they go in free agency?
So I think you're starting on the defensive line and where they're looking. I mean, we listen to Duke Tobin when he says it. We know what their weakness is. Pass rush is king, all that stuff like that. Whatever that is, whatever they can accomplish there, I think that's where their aggressive number one play is going to be. You're good. That's and when they make aggressive plays in free agency, traditionally, it's almost always on the defensive line when you talk about defense. So that's where that's going to go. Next, I think would be safety, because they don't have another safety.
Yeah.
Like now, maybe they think they can get somebody down the line, but the fact that it's just an open starting spot just sitting there suggests that that's one that they should be trying to fill, and I feel like they would be aggressively trying to fill that line. The fact that they have Carter and Knight maybe pushes the immediacy of going out and nabbing somebody there down the line. But that said, it's on the list, and I would put it next. But there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a big group of veteran linebackers that are going to be available that I think that they could tap into, that they probably like. And when you have that, you can wait for the market to unfold a little bit there. Maybe they do. Maybe they look at Demario Davis and the connections and the way he played and how he'd be a great fit to mentor, and you say that's it, or Bobby Wagner or whatever. I mean, if they have a guy who makes sense, I think that's going to be a bigger part of it. Like, they'll attack somebody, they feel like that's it. But I would put that as the next priority spot. I'll be curious what their view of like the nickel corner safety spot is. What they do there in terms of they're not just going to settle for Jalen Davis on that, but what does that look like? It's kind of a wild card here, but I would put that a little further down the list.
And now we have a good ambush question. Are you ready for an ambush?
Let's go.
All right. It's a long-winded question here, but I'll sum it up. He just kind of wants to know how some of those national writers, like an Adam Schefter or somebody like that, gets those breaking news stories about the team that the local beat writers don't get first. So how do those national guys swoop in on a few of these scoops and get them first?
Well, so this is basically about the NFL media ecosystem, and the agents, they feed for information. It's an information exchange with, all of these players. So you have these power agents. They want to give them their hookup in exchange for whatever good pub they need or whatever it is about their guy. When it comes time, I'll give you this. There are certainly relationships and ways and times that you can get in there ahead of them. But typically the teams are not going to be putting anything out there before the agent. The players aren't. And the agents are always going to, almost always going to be looking to those same big names. That's why you see most of the same people, Schefter, Rappaport, Pelissero, Diana for us. Their job year round is working that and getting so they get those. Okay, I was the one that had it 10 seconds before the other person. When you notice like the lower rung stuff we'll have, and I think we'll be all over these things before it becomes like, okay, the official break of it happened a lot of times, but that is these agents feeding the bigger name breaking news people. That's just kind of the leverage and the way it all works there. If you want to involve yourself in that, you can. It's from our level, it's an uphill battle. It's better for us to just always know what's going on and be able to do the analysis and be on top of it. Now, there are plenty of times that we have stuff and you hear it here or you read it in The Athletic from me or from anybody in the local beat. But the big ones that I think that you're referring to that happen in free agency, that is agent says, when this happens, you'll be my person because they have the biggest mouthpiece.
I mean, that makes sense that those are going to be the scoops those guys get because they don't have the time to, make those relationships with each individual team and every market and everything. So they're not going to get all the good breaking news stuff, but they can get the high volume stuff from the agents, which is, people keep an eye on that during free agency. That's
I feel personally, my personal view on this, and this has been this way since I've basically started doing this job. I think it's the most overrated thing that happens. Now, they're very well paid. They're very well paid, and they do have a hard job. I would never want it. I mean, the idea of having to be on to break a story 24/7, no matter where you are or what you're doing, sounds truly gross.
Yes.
We do versions of that, but not anything like what they have to do. And, you tell me, do you remember who had the first tweet 15 seconds before somebody else did? Or sometimes every once in a while there's a huge one where you're like, I remember that Schefter sent out the thing about Andrew Luck retiring, right? Or whatever. But like the vast majority of that, you remember the deeper story that comes out,
right?
Whether it's right after, whatever, or in the run up to it, whatever that is.
Well, yeah,
more than you do who snuck the tweet out.
It just feels it's from a different era. You break news 20 years ago and it's in the paper a whole day before your competitor. Like that is a big advantage, right? Because you've got that. These days with social media, as soon as one guy tweets it, everybody retweets it, and then the local people get the real full version of that story. So it doesn't quite have the same impact that it used to.
Don't forget the part where the aggregators aggregated and nobody even knows who actually did any of the reporting in the first place.
The aggregators. Now that's a topic for a different day. Just our least favorite aggregators. Quick stand-up plugs before we shift to downshift here. And I also did want to mention this Growl Pal Spotlight. We are still doing those. So if you have a good cause that you work on as a Growl Pal that you want a little bit of extra attention for, or you have a small business you want us to plug in this section, like if you've got a mobile detailing business, we did hook up a Growl Pal with that earlier in the year. He did not get murdered. That's a great success story for us as a show. So any of those, we're still taking those at the Growler Podcast at gmail.com. I'm off this weekend. I'm from the stand-up world. I've got a private show on Sunday, so nobody can come to that. But this in March, I'm really ramping it up. So I'm coming to Nashville, Syracuse, St. Paul, Minnesota, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Williamsburg, Virginia, and then the Liberty Funny Bone at the end of March. And then in April, I'm coming to Asheville, North Carolina, and Charleston, South Carolina. So if you live in any of those cities, those tickets are available on my website, markshalafu.com.
Love that. Go out and see Mark. I did want to point out, I know we've mentioned in Growl Pal Spotlight Project Game Day before.
They're great.
They send, what they do is they send individuals with disabilities or military veterans to Bengals games and create these really awesome experiences for them. It's a great cause. It's Bengals related. They do awesome work. They're having a draft day party, the second day of the draft. It's going to be at the Folding Warehouse. I think DJ Turner is going to be there. It's going to be a meet and greet. They've been talking about that. It's a great cause. It's one that is just like, I think everybody can get behind. So if you want to go and be part of that big event, second day of the draft, the Folding Warehouse, get down there, man. It's supporting a great cause and getting together with Bengals fans. And go say hi to DJ Turner. Ask him if he's going to get his deal done soon. Let me know what he says.
Yeah, we do love the Project Game Day folks. Really cool cause, so support them. Absolutely. Dad life. What do you got going on in your dad life world?
So we're still watching the Olympics. I mean, we're
the flag's up, man. You got to be on board.
We are a dedicated Olympics family. Like, we love it. We love chanting USA. I did experience, I want to shout out to the gamblers out there. This isn't real. I mean, I guess this is a version of dad life, but it's more just, it's just a good life is what it is. I discovered a great way to gamble. And that is, if you have Peacock and you put on the curling is very fun. It almost always comes down to like 1 inch of a stone sliding by a rock or hitting the rock, deciding the whole match. It's a very tense environment. And when they do the round robin for the curling that's going on, they have essentially like shuffleboard. There's like 4 courts all right next to each other in this one arena. Well, Peacock has a curling multi-view. You can have all 4 up on the same time and be watching them, tracking them, move the sound back and forth. So I woke up, it's on early in the morning. I woke up early on a lovely Saturday morning and saw that there was going to be all these curling matches going on. So I placed a little parlay on the USA so I can chant for the USA and the Swedes to beat like Latvia or something and somebody else. And I sat there and you have them all right in front of you. The drama's happening. You're tracking your parlays. You can chant USA. Patriotism is happening. It is a great way to gamble on the Olympics. It's just, I was a big fan. And so I reckon there's all other curling is still happening. You've got the men's, you've got the women's, there's different. It's not just the ones that ended was mixed doubles, which was pretty strong. I do recommend.
It's always intense. Doubles. The mixed doubles.
Yes. The mixed doubles is so they have clocks. Like, when if you play chess, you hit the clock or whatever. Like whenever they're going to throw, the clock is running on them, and there's only so much time because you got to limit the amount of strategery time that they have, because there ends up being a lot of talking on the ice.
Not good TV.
Throwing arrows. Yeah, and you're trying to figure out the geometry. And less of that is better, and that's what was good with the mixed doubles. But when you look at the men's, the women's, there's a little bit more time for that. But still, it's exciting. It's all happening at the same time. Go place your parlays, root for America, and enjoy it. That's just my little tip for entertainment. And if your kids, that's what you're doing, you're like, it's fine. I'm just watching curling. Supporting the United States in the Olympics.
Just getting very into curling and watching my phone at the same time.
Don't worry about that.
Trying to decide if we're going on vacation this summer or not. This is a high stakes curling game right here,
Gamble reasonably, folks.
Yes.
What do you got? Well, you're in Pigeon Forge. We never really addressed the fact that you're in a Residence Inn right now.
I know. This is not even one of my favorite podcasting hotel chains that I've experienced. So down on that, but it's a fine hotel. We are actually here. Usually I'm traveling for stand-up. I'm not. This weekend I'm traveling for sports, for amateur sports, youth sports. We have a gymnastics meet that my middle kid was participating in. So the whole family got to take a few days off school and come down to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and really get into that. It's been quite the Gatlinburg experience so far. We still have another day and a half, but man, these meets are just such a money maker. There's just like hundreds and hundreds of girls. They've got like 4 different gyms going in the convention center, and nothing is cheap, as you can imagine. I had to get some concessions because these meets last for hours. You're there for probably 4 hours to watch your kid do about 3 minutes of activities. And so I took the little one out to get a snack. I got her a little pack of cookies and then 2 bottles of water. What would you guess the price was for those 3 things.
I don't even want to know if it's more than $5.
I pulled out a 10 thinking that would cover it. It was $18.67 for 2 bottles of water and a little pack of cookies. I was like, you got to be, this is just, it's highway robbery, these youth sports events. My daughter needed to get the official meat hooded sweatshirt so she could wear it to school and stuff. And they've got all the gyms on the back. That was a nice $65 for that. They know what they're doing. They know how to get the money from the parents. But I do. We're starting to get into the other Gatlinburg things today, which is fun. We're gonna are you
gonna go bungee jumping?
I wish we could do bungee jumping. I don't think I could get them on board.
Maybe?
We looked at indoor tubing, and that looked really cool. But then we read a few reviews, and they were all like, "Every time I come here, I get strep throat," and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me. What is happening at this indoor tubing place? And somebody else said it's just not worth it. You get down 3 times in an hour. So we'll probably do the aquarium just because my oldest is big into that. We'll do a hike, which is not something a lot of people do in their Gatlinburg trips, but they should. There's always, you see the people that are there for like some outdoorsy stuff and some that are just there for like go-karts and the Dolly Parton Stampede and that kind of stuff. I did, what I love about it is just the juxtaposition of different things. Like I drove past a sign last night that had an advertisement for the Bible Museum, an advertisement for Cooters, and then an advertisement for microwrestling.com. And that was all next to a Dollar Tree. I'm like, this is Gatlinburg in a nutshell right here. The Bible Museum, micro wrestling, and Cooters, which I don't even know what kind of business that is. It just has a picture of a car. So it could be a restaurant. It could be, who knows?
Who knows what's happening in there? I like when you go down the main strip in Pigeon Forge, how no building is normally shaped. It's like, oh, this one's actually like a giant T-Rex for a roof. And then this one is an upside down building. And like every single one is some ridiculous shape or form, or one's just like a giant light bulb or a balloon. Like it's none of it makes any sense. It's ridiculous. But between that and the mountain coasters, it's ridiculous. We loved the mountain coasters, but the mountain coasters look dangerous, and I don't think they are, but it's really clear that just like one hillbilly one time built this and people just flocked to it. And every other person that lives down there was like, well, I can build me a mountain coaster and we can make a bunch of money. So now there's like 100 mountain coasters that you have to choose from.
Yeah, they look cool, but I don't know that I want to trust a hill person with this carnival ride they built into their backyard, basically. You know, like it seems a little bit questionable. But
I think the death rate's pretty low.
You can't be running off tourists. You know, you need them to spend their money elsewhere. We went to Flavor Town last night, which is new here, with some gymnastics families last night. They did the arcade and we ate there and did the duck pin bowling like that. That was fun for the kids. So spent way too many hours in Flavor Town, way too many dollars in Flavor Town, but that's just kind of the stuff you do here.
Man, I didn't know it was going to be like a full experience going to Flavor Town. Can you buy the shirt with the flames?
You can buy just about anything that you want there. They've got a robust gift shop for sure. And I mean, we went to the arcade because we spent some money in the arcade, and ticket inflation is out of control. It was like 32,000 tickets to get like a nerd's rope. I'm like, what are we doing here? This is too much math, and the prizes weren't great, but you know, that's kind of what you expect out of the arcade these days.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. Guy Fieri, what a gem. I'm glad that
American icon.
I mean, you know what? He's very much belongs in Pigeon Forge. That's like,
I know it is such
personality for it.
Yeah, it is such a Pigeon Forge vibe there. Like Flavor Town, it is a perfect marriage of those two things. So shout out to them for that. We did it. We got to another.
We did another show. Look at us go. Way to go.
Yeah, we covered some free agency, some draft, some Flavor Town, a little bit of everything. Some curling,
Combine's right around
tips.
the corner. Combine's right around the corner. So a week from Tuesday, we'll have Duke Tobin, Zach Taylor, talking in Indianapolis. So we'll have stuff coming from that. It's always an interesting day. We don't know what exactly we're going to get. We'll talk to coordinators, talk to some coaches up there. We'll have lots of reports coming from that way. But the day that Duke and Zach talk, I know Charlie and I are planning on doing a sort of walkout style podcast from up there. So we'll have plenty to come from that, and still more content coming your way next week. Got some fun stuff planned in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. A few fun guests that we're going to have here soon. So we've got lots of great shows coming your way.
Keep sending your questions to the Growler Podcast at gmail.com. And if you haven't given us a nice 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to this on, please do that. All of that stuff helps podcasts in a big way. Thank you guys for listening.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one, everybody.